All right, I think we got the audio set here. I got you set. Give me mic check, please.
Hello.
Okay. All right, everyone. Corey here, Phoenix Enigma, covering more information about the Isaac Cappy case and related issues surrounding it, which never seems to end. Today we have Zach McQuaid, and
Hi.
hey, man, thank you for being here. We've spoken about this sometimes at length off the record, several times, and we know quite a few of the same people. You are quite integrated into events surrounding the aftermath of the death of Isaac Cappy and other characters related to the situation.
Yes, Isaac Kappy, Tracy Twyman, Ian Murdoch, Sergeant Mike Stephen, and Samuel Fullerton.
A couple of things I haven't heard before. Okay.
Yeah, he was involved with what happened with Samuel Fullerton. Sam trusted Thomas a lot,
All
and
right.
probably enough to tell him that he had a gun.
All right. Hold 1 second. Hold on to all that right there. Hold on to that information because we're going to start at the beginning. And this can take as long as you like. I have no time limit here. The day is yours. So, first of all, let's start out. Tell me about you for the audience here, for everyone who may be listening, for any investigators, FBI, AGs in the future listening to this. Tell me about you first.
Um, I'm Canadian. I'm 29 years old. I uh, I got involved in the topics of conspiracies in around 2016, the election, watching all the Pizzagate videos, and I was really disturbed by a lot of it. And I began doing my own digging, and I was into the occult when I was in high school, and that's why I like Tracy Twyman. I got
Okay.
into her work back then.
All right. Um, you live in Canada, East Coast. Um, you
Yeah.
were okay. How did you first get involved with the? Well, did your involvement in this begin with Isaac Cappy, or did it begin with something else and then get pulled into Isaac Cappy?
Um, there are some people that I was connected to before all this that do tie into everything, but I wasn't involved in anything. I didn't know of Isaac Kappy until just a random day. Like I didn't follow him before that.
So you were involved with Tracy Twyman. Tracy Twyman died about 5 weeks after Isaac died. I first heard about you when you were making videos, um, um, some pretty rough videos against someone who, I guess we cannot mention his name here due to a legal agreement. Did you ever sign that, by the
Yeah,
way? Did you sign that legal agreement?
I don't think I did. I
Okay.
don't remember signing anything, not even digitally.
Yeah, I think you need an attorney. Just for the record, I think you need an
Yeah.
attorney to look at what happened up there and to see exactly where you stand on that. Um, I think you've been hoodwinked. But right
Mm.
here, I actually pulled this off of one of Steve Altram's videos. He did a video a while back, a couple years ago, 20 signs of a government LARP. And one of the signs here, characters familiar from other LARPs or channels. And I got to tell Steve Altram. The more I watch him, the more respect I have for some of the work that he's done. I think he was completely off base when he supported Thomas Schoenberger and made defensive
Yeah.
videos about him. I don't think he understood, but not everyone. A lot of people go through that phase. I did. I defended Thomas for a little bit before I found out who and what he was. A number of people. Denise Matow is currently doing that. He's had a number of people do that. He gets them to do all their dirty work, and before he
Hmm.
burns them up and uses them and leaves them behind to, you know,
Yeah.
um, wallow in his mess. But all All right,
Hmm.
we're off track. This is about you here. I want to get your story down.
There's yeah, there's a
So,
team of people behind him.
behind Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get there as well here. So, you're Canadian. You were involved with following Tracy Twyman's work at a young age in high school. You're 29 now. I know you have extensive dealings, investigation into Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I do, and that's what really got me more disturbed about a whole lot and wanting to do more digging. And I was really self-destructive when I found out that he died, which was in 2013. And I thought at that time that he committed suicide and was reckless and wanted to reach a state of nirvana that way. And so I decided to be all reckless, and it really, I was inspired by him, and I still am, but in a different way now, not in a reckless way, because I understand now that he was murdered and everything, just like what is happening to Isaac, happened to him. Everything about him is being distorted, like somebody who I can't mention saying that Isaac was a drug addict when he wasn't even a drug addict, and
Yeah.
trying to just make everyone around the situation look crazy so that
Sure.
Isaac can seem just like he was insane,
Yeah.
and none of this was true.
Yeah.
Nothing to any of this.
Sure. Yeah. That person. I've personally had words with that person. I know who you're speaking of here. And if people would like to watch it, they can go on the Just Me channel, Just Me, JUST space ME, on YouTube, and find it. It's I think there was 3 episodes not too long ago I was on where this person. I can say his name, right? You can't.
Yeah.
Gabe Hoffman came on, and yeah, I brought it to his face because for years he's been saying that Isaac Cappy's a drug addict. Isaac Cappy was a drug addict. Isaac Cappy was a drug addict. He repeats it over and over. He's been on the DeFango show, and he's been pushing that narrative in his tweets and everywhere else. And the fact is that Isaac had no drugs in his system other than a little bit of THC and nicotine. He didn't drink. Rarely he'd drink like a half a beer every once in a while. My fiance Alicia was the last person to spend time with him, and she said there were no paraphernalia, no drugs in his house. Sharkbelly Kelly, a good friend of mine, she's passed on now. She died last year. She was at Isaac's house helping him with his. He had a garage sale in California, and there was no drugs. She went out went one time to karaoke. He had half a beer and he put it down. And in Australia, the only person in Australia that said that he was on drugs was Fiona Barnett, and I have serious reservations about her credibility. And I
Oh
believe,
wow.
oh, I believe that she's being handled at the very least, and at the very most, probably a disinformation chaos agent used to spit
Wow. I remember
disinformation.
she said to him, "You brought them right to me." And so that's pretty intense. That's how much they lie, though. They make the person really trust them.
Yeah, or she could just be. I know she has a lot of problems, but um,
Hmm.
so yeah, okay. So that about Gabe there. Let's see. We're gonna go here. Do you want to talk about the kind of crowd you were dealing with? Because it sort of does roundabout back into Isaac Cappy. You were looking into the death of Kurt Cobain. I know you've spoken with Boyd Rice, I believe. Was that Boyd Rice?
No, I haven't spoken with him. It was
Who was it?
Courtney Love's dad, Hank Harrison.
Hank Harrison. Okay, Courtney Love's dad you spoke to. What did he have to say about the Kurt
And
Cobain situation?
that it's murder. He wrote a book recently talking about how much involvement his daughter has, and that's pretty much it. And Thomas, when I was speaking to him over the phone, he fed me a bunch of lies, apparently lies, I don't know, about Hank, that he was he's been to Epstein Island 13 times. And I spoke to Kelly when she was alive, and she said, see, he said the number 13, like he's obviously trying to LARP you into something, like lying to you.
Thomas said that Courtney Love's father has been to Epstein Island 13 times.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Did you that whole satanic crowd? Who was the gentleman we spoke a while back, about a month ago? You told me you were in contact with. He was a Satanist over there, I believe. He was mixed in with LaVey. Was it LaVey, Anton LaVey's son, or whose son was it?
Yeah. They're extremely angry at me for speaking about. Maybe I shouldn't even say anything, but I don't know what I should. I don't know how to speak about that.
Yeah. All right. You want to leave that alone?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
Just
All right.
respect them and leave them alone.
Gotcha. So, but for the record, you were in contact with some of the darkest of the Hollywood underbelly.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Since I was 15, I left home when I was 15 and I went to a shelter and I befriended people in California online on my Facebook, and it was involving Charles Manson and Marlon Marinick, and I just got wrapped into that for a little bit, and that's how I who I associated with, and it wasn't anybody that I should have associated with, and I really realize that now.
Okay. All right. I just want to lay some foundation as to kind of who you are, the circles you've run in, the things you may know, the people you've spoken to. I think that's very crucial for people listening to this to understand that you're just not some, kid up in Canada that you've been through some rough times, and you've associated with deeply many of these darker characters people only read about. Okay, let's get to the meat here.
Yeah, they were basically the only people I even spoke to over the phone when I left home and was at the shelter. And yeah, I just called them up all the time. And
did you ever meet any of them in person? Did you ever meet any of them in person?
No.
Did any of them ever have plans to come meet you in person?
I had someone fly over from California to try to hurt me based on the Manson situation, and I ran into him, and nothing came out of that though, but I reported that back then, and that was in 2011.
Wow. Okay. When did you first contact, meet, or otherwise bump into Thomas Schoenberger?
Thomas came to me through Stephanie Carroll. She commented on my YouTube channel, said she likes my work. I think she told me to get in contact with Thomas, but I did right after that, and during that time I was putting out videos speaking about why I thought that suicide was all right for me to do. I was in a really low state, and she commented on those videos, and I put myself out there at that time.
Approximately what date was that? When did you first come? When did Steffi Carroll first tell you to contact Thomas?
It had been in 2009, like after Isaac died, not too long. I don't remember what month.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay, not 19. Okay, so it was shortly after Isaac died?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What first time you spoke to Thomas, what happened? How'd it go? How'd you guys build a relationship? And for people who don't maybe listen real quick, this is a long story. No, it's not real long, but you need to understand Zach's story isn't necessarily unique. It's unique in his personal details of it, but it's not unique in what Thomas does to people. This is a format. This is a formula, and what you're hearing here has been done to other people. It was attempted on me. It was done to Pavana, Jesse's wife, and a number of other people we're going to talk about later. But how did it? What happened when you first spoke to him?
I don't remember too clearly. I wasn't in a really clear headspace then, but um, he just spoke to me about how he liked my videos, and he knew that I wanted to stand up for Isaac because it was Stephanie that was reading my comments, watching me and Michael Dade's live streams, and she's the one that told Thomas about me, and she told me that on the phone. But for months prior, she had been on the phone with me, trying to figure out how Thomas could have found my channel. And then the last time I speak to her, she admits that she's the one that brought Thomas to my channel, and that's the last time we ever spoke over the phone or ever.
You and Steffi.
Mm.
That's the last time you and Steffi ever spoke on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What happened when you started befriending Thomas? Can you just walk us through like what happened?
He started calling me up all the time on the phone, and I was really lonely, and he became a friend of mine, and I trusted everything he said to me, and I started putting out his text in video
What?
format and just
You trust everything he said to you. What was he saying to you?
that we were on a very special mission back. It seems really ridiculous now thinking back, but that we were on a special mission, and I was the biblical reincarnation of Zachariah, and things like Esteban dies first, and then Shark Belly Kelly, like he could predict their deaths, and we were
Wait,
all prophets, like Kurt Cobain
he
and
said that
Isaac, and
Shark Belly Kelly was going to die?
yeah, I have that in an email too, and a snapshot.
Shark Belly Kelly's dead. She died last year. Um,
I know.
I helped raise money for her funeral. For people just
Oh
listening
wow.
to this, Shark Belly Kelly was a very good friend of mine. Very good friend of mine. She was one of Isaac's friends, and she was extremely crucial, instrumental in the investigation to what happened to Isaac Cappy. That being said, I remember about a month and a half before she passed, because she smoked cigarettes. She didn't drink very much, but she did smoke cigarettes, and she smoked some weed. She liked her weed, and she called me and said, "Corey, I just got out of the doctor. So, oh my God, are you okay?" And she said, "I'm fine. I'm great. I just had like this checkup. I figured it's been years since I had a checkup. I may as well go in there and get a checkup." I said, "How'd it go?" She goes, "Like, the doctor was amazed. Like, my heart's amazing, my blood pressure's amazing, my enzymes are amazing, my liver's amazing. Like, I am in like top shape. Check this out." And she had her paperwork and she was reading all it to me. And she was, I said, "But you kind of smoke." She goes, "I know, it shocked me too." And
What the heck?
a month and a half later, I get a call from Carrie, her roommate, a very good friend of mine as well. And she says, "Kelly's dead." She had a headache last night. It was really bad, and she couldn't get to stop. She took a shower. She got out. I called the, she said I called the ambulance, and they took her away. And apparently, she said they rolled her out in a wheelchair because she couldn't walk, and she had a stroke in the ambulance, and she never woke up again. And I think 2 days later, they ended up pulling the plug on her. Because she was just completely brain dead at that point, and she was gone. So you're telling me that Thomas said that her or that Esteban and her were going to die first. Esteban was going to die first, and then her. That's what Thomas wrote to you.
Kelly was the one that I used to call after I realized that I was set up by Thomas and somebody else that I can't mention. And I used to speak on the phone with her for hours and about all of this. And she was the one that was waiting for me to release all the emails, and I was too afraid to back then. And I wish she was still here because she would be here right now,
Yes, she
and
would.
she would have found some way to make this get a lot of attention as as well.
So you mentioned a minute ago that Thomas had you putting out information.
Hmm.
He befriended you, love bombed you, called you every day, told you were the reincarnated Zachariah. Did
Yeah.
he was he roping you the Isaac Cappy ancillary garbage online, the fighting? Was he what
Yeah.
or was there something else, or was that it? What was he doing? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what do you think he was, looking in hindsight, doing to you?
He was getting me to put out disinformation and misinformation about what actually happened to Isaac so they could distort everything that actually did happen to Isaac. And he was pretending to be enemies with certain people, and other people are pretending to be enemies with him. And they're getting away with what happened to Isaac, which is they murdered him because of what he came out about.
That's about the time that Michael Dade started in. And here's where our paths cross. Michael Dade, who I made a video about not even 2 weeks ago, his disinformation, he's still out there trying to spew lies. He came out and started pushing the narrative that myself, Kelly, Brett Trumbull were responsible for Isaac's murder.
Even
Um,
me as a firefighter.
you as a firefighter?
Yeah, he
That
said that back then.
he said that you were a
Yeah,
firefighter.
you're the one that told me about that. Yeah,
Okay, I guess.
or something. Yeah,
Which is strange because I never.
ridiculous.
Everyone who has followed this knows that I didn't know really who. I'd seen one or two of Isaac's videos in passing, like for 15 seconds or 10 seconds each before I turned them off. I didn't really. I never knew Isaac Cappy. I knew of the guy with the hair making the claims in Hollywood. That's. I didn't even know his name. And and the day he died, I was working. In fact, I rolled right under the bridge. He, quote, I'm going to use the TMZs, he forced himself off of at 7:22 in the morning. Um, and I learned about it the next day, like everyone else, when everyone started calling me. But wow, okay, so he had you putting out disinformation
Yeah.
about the events, and were you making this information up? How, what, or was it?
No, he was just sending it to me in his own text and email, and then I was putting it into video format on my video maker and putting a song to it, editing it, and putting it out as my own work and my own text. So,
So Thomas was scripting you to do this, literally writing,
yeah,
and you were making the videos and putting them out.
yeah, and yeah, he had people pay me, several people.
Can you say who? Well, who was paying you?
Michael A. Levine and Jonathan Wolf are two big names, but I don't remember the other ones. And
Who is Jonathan Wolf?
those, he's Alex Jones's cameraman, and
So I know. Hold on a second. I know this guy because I got him right here in my book. You telling me that Jonathan Wolf? What does he go by? Ghost Crab.
yeah,
Ghost Crab. He also went by at Jib Camera. Alex
yeah,
Jones's cameraman was.
yeah,
Thomas had Alex Jones's cameraman paying you money to crank out disinformation about Isaac Cappy's death
Isaac,
and the events surrounding his death.
yeah, and they had him on Infowars prior. they interviewed Isaac, and they're responsible for the cover up of what happened to him as well, not just them.
Good Lord. You mentioned Levine, Michael Levine. For those who don't
Yeah.
know who Michael Levine is, do you want to fill anyone in here?
He's a composer for Hollywood. He's done the soundtrack for the movie The Hunger Games. He's a business associate of Seth Green's, and he's best friends with Thomas Schoenberger.
So what we're saying here, and I've seen a picture of Levine and Seth Green together, and you're saying that they're business associates.
Yeah.
Isaac Cappy comes out on July 22nd, 2018 at 1:33 in the afternoon and states that Seth Green and Claire talked to him about chicken, showed him a room with beds and chains, allegedly, a secret room that behind a bookshelf, literally in Seth's Malibu house or apartment, and then took him upstairs and showed him another room that was decked out like a child's room, even though they had no kids or nephews.
Right.
He came out and said that they were trying to get him involved with pedophilia, chicken. And Isaac Cappy comes out and makes these claims about Spielberg, Seth Green, Tom Hanks, and others. And then shortly after, he's approached by Thomas Schoenberger. So Levine is Seth Green's business partner in a project or two, I would imagine. I wouldn't imagine every day. It's Hollywood, projects come and go. But Thomas is, well, let's put it this way. Levine is a mutual partner of Seth Green and Thomas Schoenberger. Thomas Schoenberger approaches Isaac Cappy and starts getting him on Lift the Veil and speaking to Isaac Cappy. The true extent of, I don't think anyone knows. Thomas says he's come clean about all of the emails and correspondence he's had with Isaac, but if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. And Isaac Cappy dies shortly afterwards. So Michael Levine and Thomas Schoenberger is the connecting piece here between Levine and Seth Green, and Thomas and Isaac. Yeah, I find that absolutely amazing, and I find that no one has put this together yet equally as amazing. And today still today, Levine and Thomas are business partners in the Cicada 3301 project.
Yeah.
Along with another fella. Who's this other fella here? I got his name right here. There's another gentleman that I call him a gentleman. I don't know who he is. Let's see here. Richard Lech. Richard Lech. He looks like a cameraman in California as well, in Hollywood. And there's information on that. I find this absolutely stunning and amazing. I don't know why the FBI hasn't looked into this yet. I don't know why these connections haven't been sniffed out by law enforcement. Maybe there's a lack of will or prosecution. I'm not sure. There's something here. But he came on Isaac was on Alex Jones, just to recap. He was on Alex Jones as well. And Alex Jones set him up. In my opinion, Alex Jones set up Isaac Cappy.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let him speak about who he was speaking about.
Yeah, he'd ask him a question, he'd cut him off, and then he would just rail on him. And Isaac was pissed after that. I remember I spoke to someone who said after that thing, Isaac was just absolutely pissed that Alex Jones set him up. Isaac wrote that map called the
Mossad Matrix.
The Mossad Media Matrix is what he did, and on that he put Alex Jones on that map. Let's see here.
And now we have his cameraman paying me to put out disinformation regarding what happened to him after his death. And there you have him writing Alex Jones on paper. and it's all the people connected to him. And a lot of them like to pretend to be enemies with certain other people, and that's how they get away with terrorizing people and killing them
Well,
and covering it up.
I've been speaking about that for a while now. There's a gentleman named Gabe Hoffman who sued Thomas for defamation, yet dropped the lawsuit after he spent $10,000 to track him down. But during the course of that lawsuit, subpoenaed records from other people involved with all of it. I think there's a lot of what they call lawfare going on. There's a lot of lawfare happening, and I'm pulling up the Mossad Media Matrix right now here.
Yeah, and basically they just find a lot of people online that they can use, and they gather all the information they can against them, and they use it all against them.
Yeah.
To get away with their own crimes.
So I think I'm just gonna show this here, the Mossad Media Matrix here. I can show this because Gabe Hoffman himself posted this. Let's see here. There we go. Gabe Hoffman posted this, looks like on May 31st, 2019 on his Twitter. So I know he's threatened to sue me for defamation for posting this. But once you post something, yeah, once you post it, other people can post it. It's not defamation at that point. Gabe wrote, Isaac Cappy drew a Mossad Media Matrix, which he posted on Telegram social media app. It includes myself at the center, John Podesta, Jerome Corsi, Alex Jones, Anna Kate, Cernovich, at Entel Lawyer, Jack Posobiec, Real AG Benza, and others. Loomer's on there, Poso. He talked about offshore money accounts here. I know this really, and this is where Gabe and Isaac got into it online. There's a lot there as well involving a character by the name of Vegan Mikey, who anyone listening to this knows who he is. Vegan Mikey came out with the Voodoo Donuts thing. Also was on Lift the Veil, contacted Isaac. Isaac brought him in, Isaac, I think, believed his lies. And Gabe began attacking Vegan Mikey, and Isaac stood up for Vegan Mikey, believing that he was a true SRA. And he might have been, but Vegan Mikey is a liar, and he's a drug addict, and he is a grifter on top of anything that may have happened, but he tells so many lies, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. That's kind of the story as to how Gabe and Isaac began fighting online on Twitter. Gabe eventually did what he did, and he silences and cancels people, and he got... and he does. He got Isaac taken off of Twitter. He got the account canceled. And, I admit, I'll be the first one to say that Isaac was violating Twitter's terms of services. And Gabe took advantage of that. So that's what happened. That being said, again, I want to state that Seth Green and Michael Levine are friends/business partners. Michael Levine and Thomas Schoenberger are like best friends. And
Yep.
After Isaac comes out about Seth Green, accusing him of pedophilia, and within a week, he's approached by Thomas Schoenberger, who begins trying to handle him. And then after his death, Schoenberger contacts you, Zach, and gets you to put out false, defamatory fiction, muddying the waters, disinformation into the entire community that's involved in attempting to find out what happened to Isaac Cappy and the
Exactly.
events surrounding it.
And Michael Levine was one of the people to pay me, and he is known best friends with Thomas, and he is business associates of Seth's.
I don't know how the FBI doesn't take a look at this. I don't know how the Attorney General of Arizona doesn't take a look at this. I intend to bring it up to them again. I do. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
after
There's everything.
yeah.
There's pretty much everything there, and a lot more too. But everything regarding, this is so obvious now, and it's being ignored because obviously, as you know, there are uh, agencies that are involved in this.
Yeah. Did you ever speak to? I'm just gonna throw his name in there because it seems everyone who ever talks to Thomas, Thomas offers to introduce them to Sean Stone. Did you ever speak to Sean Stone?
No.
Okay, Oliver Stone. I did. Early on, Thomas approached me, and when I came out with my first video, within a week, he was in contact with me, or I him, or someone put us together. I can't recall the details. I've been very clear on that. And Thomas likes to make hay out of that. But however it happened, either Thomas had someone contact me, or I contacted him because someone told me to. I just wouldn't have reached out to Thomas unless someone told me to, because I didn't know who the guy was. But I think he reached out to me, and he befriended me. Oh man, I watched your videos. God, you put out some great stuff. Man, it looks like you and I have a lot in common. And we talked about all kinds of the occult and ancient history. And he's a wonderful conversationalist. He's very eloquent. He has that sultry voice that sucks people in. He really is the epitome of a real life Hannibal Lecter. He just has this charm that pulls people in. Until he destroys you.
I know nothing about him.
Who's that?
Who you're speaking about?
Thomas? I'm talking about Thomas here.
Oh, you're speaking about Thomas.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
yeah, I do.
There was a point at which he says, "Hey, if you get can I come on to your show?" I said, "Yeah, of course, and let's talk about the occult and let's talk about this." Well, he took that opportunity to begin attacking DeFango, Manny Chavez, and Lestat, and some others. And the next day, my entire internet world blew up, and people just began attacking me, accusing me of being his friend and on his side, and I'm his new minion, and I'm his new...
Wow, so it all stems from Thomas and them.
Thomas pulled me in and set me up, and that's known as the Schoenberger kiss of death. Schoenberger will reach out, he will find a new person to handle and use. He will then publicly associate you with him, and during that first opportunity... he will say he's being attacked and gang stalked by all of his previous victims who he has done wrong, stolen from, lied to, mind fucked, whatever.
You think he's doing that to me, telling people that?
Well, did he tell you that he was being gang stalked? Did he tell you the story?
He told me he was being gang stalked by so many people, and he had lists of names for me to put out in videos.
There you go.
In videos.
And what that does is that takes all those people, DeFango, Lestat, the whole group, all of them, and there's more, tons and tons more. They then look at you as being Thomas's ally. And you don't know who Thomas is.
And I was at that time.
And,
yeah. And I was and I didn't have any clue what was really going on with me, and what was really being done against me, and until later, and that's when I really felt flipped upside down. My reality felt really flipped upside down because I had been believing.
It took me
perceiving.
Don't feel bad. It took me 5 months. It took me 5 months before I started to suspect about 3 months that Thomas was a dark guy, and I kind of guarded myself and closed down, and I stopped putting him on live on my show, and I wouldn't give him. And he said, well, and that's when he started saying, "Hey, I can get you on with Sean Stone." And I'm like, "Why don't I talk to Sean Stone?" "Well, man, you get thousands of views and your channel will blow up. And he's a big time. He was on with Jesse Ventura." I'm like, I don't really have anything to talk to Sean Stone about. I don't know the guy, and we have nothing in common really. And oh no, he did the conspiracy theory, and I'm like,
well, now we have stuff to speak about.
Sure. Well, no, I've personally spoken to Sean Stone.
No.
I called him up. Well, Sean reached out to a mutual friend of ours, and said, back when I was covering Jacob Chansley, the Q shaman guy, on January 6th.
No, I didn't see that.
The guy who had the horns on in the U.S. Capitol was remember on January 6th, 2021? It was a big deal here in America. But anyway, he found out that I was, because I'd interviewed Jake that night, because Jake's my friend. We'd been to protest together down in Phoenix during the Stop the Steal rallies. And he wanted an interview with Jake. So he had this mutual friend contact me. Well, I called Sean up and I said, yeah, hey, man. By the way, I understand you're friends with Thomas. Oh, yeah, me and Thomas go way back. And I took that opportunity to explain to Sean exactly who and what Thomas is.
Good.
And I gave him links, and I emailed him pages and websites and data dumps and PDF files and court cases and videos and testimonies as from the people whose lives Thomas has destroyed. And he never really got back to me again. I messaged him the next week and I said, hey, did you have a chance to look at that stuff that I sent you about your buddy Thomas? He said, no, I haven't. And that's the last I heard. But, and then I got a fiery email from Thomas just threatening me and, you better stop contacting my friends. You don't know nothing. Yeah, I don't remember what he said in those emails. They were ridiculous though. He was really pissed off that I had contacted Sean Stone, because Sean obviously called him. But and then he tried to get me involved with Frank Bacon. Have you ever spoken to Frank Bacon?
Just once. Thomas wanted me to send an email off to him, so I did. And no, he said Frank Bacon would contact me, and he did that. And I wrote back to him, and then I didn't respond back in time. Frank said I had to respond by the certain time, and I didn't. I just stalled, and then he stopped speaking to me completely.
That's a manipulation tactic. You have to respond by a certain time. That's
yeah, they want things to be on a certain date too, because they are, just like Tracy Twyman said, they're criminals and they're into the occult. They tie the two together.
Well, let me read something here. I got this article this morning. It was put out on January 23rd of 2020 by Tracking the Leopard Morose. I'm not going to say her real name here. People in this know it, but right here, she says in the second paragraph, 19 days before Ian Murdoch's death, an agreement was written between Thomas Schoenberger, Michael Levine, and Richard Lech to commercialize Cicada 3301. That agreement dated December 9, 2015 represents day one of that enterprise, and therefore it is curious that on day 666, on October 4th, 2017, the first amendment to amend and restated attachment agreement was created. DeFango had remarked that Thomas Schoenberger seemed to like the number 666 as it was part of his Shadowbox Strategies phone number. So right here you see Thomas trying to amend the initial commercialized contract 666 days after its creation between himself, Levine, and Richard Lech. And he's working the numerology into...
Yeah, his phone number, some of the digits are 666.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know he would tell people that his birthday was 6 of 66, but it's not. It's 6/1. He's born January 1st, but he tells people it's 6/6. So, he likes to create this mystique around, but he really... Yeah, oh, and by the way...
lying in any way.
In this agreement here, he actually is... where did I read it here? He goes by his professional name, how he goes by. Where was it at here? He goes by Thomas Saint Germain. Like that's his professional name within the Cicada, whatever they got going on. There's a word for it.
It's an occultist. They're criminals and they're making entertainment out of their crime.
Do you know? And you don't have to go any further than Wikipedia to find this, but do you know who believed he was the reincarnated Saint Germain?
He did.
No.
Yeah, no.
It was a person about.
Thomas?
That was a person a couple hundred years ago who believed he was the reincarnated Saint Germain. Do you know his name?
Yeah, I looked into it a little bit.
It was a guy by the name of...
I forget.
Francis Bacon.
Huh.
Francis
Wow.
Bacon.
Yeah.
So Thomas's
And
friend
yeah,
Frank
Frank
Bacon,
Bacon.
who lives in Albuquerque, just a few miles from Isaac Cappy's parents and from where Isaac Cappy grew up, his real name is
Mm.
Tyrone Simmons. I've heard Simmons and I've heard Simpson. I've heard both. But he is the peanut butter to Thomas's jelly. Did you happen to hear? You believe it was yesterday. Did you happen to hear that it was the day before? It was the day before yesterday. The All Seeing You. Have you ever spoken to the All Seeing You, Carrie Wolf?
No, I don't know who that is at all.
She, I don't know how much more you want to get into this, but she was involved. She's a video graphics artist, and she does videos and special effects and stuff like that, and she puts together videos. She came
That's
out.
cool.
She was
That's
involved.
cool. It depends on
Yeah.
what she's working with that for. Doing that with.
Oh, allow me to enlighten you. She got involved with Frank Bacon, Lepo, DeFango, and Thomas Schoenberger. Yeah. And they were making LARPs. They would get together and they would script these huge LARPs. They would say who's
Oh
going to
yeah,
fight
you
with
told me all
who.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to fight with me tomorrow. We're going to fight about this. We're going to try and pull in this YouTube channel. And then we're going to talk shit about this person. And I'm going to pretend to be, you and I are going to get into a fight tomorrow, but you're going to back him up like a soap opera.
Right.
This went on.
And then they're probably paying for views so that people think this is really popular and what is going on regarding this situation or whatever situation they're
Yeah.
trying to distort.
Yeah. And in this video she put out, How the Internet Works, she spoke about how Frank Bacon took her under his wing and taught her how to fuck with people online, how to manipulate them, how to triangulate them, how to jacket them, actual techniques on how to pull people in and turn it upside down. And she targeted people, and her words, not mine. She says, I was the highest paid troll on YouTube for the longest time, and I was making real money at it. Frank Bacon was paying her. Now, she had been friends with...
Yeah, well, when he contacted me, though, he wanted me to sign up for some, I think it was some Bitcoin or some money kind of thing. And maybe that was another money scam that, like, what happened to Isaac. But I didn't go along with that. I didn't respond in time, and he didn't respond back anymore.
Well, Thomas put me in touch with Frank Bacon. He and I talked for a couple hours one day, and he attempted to give me Isaac Cappy's Steemit account number and encouraged me to start posting as publicly as Isaac Cappy. And I told him I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, so that's all really weird.
Mm-hmm.
If this was just a crazy guy that jumped off a bridge, it's really strange.
Well, if you listen to
yeah.
Carrie's video from 2 days ago, sorry to interrupt you, but she says that...
I'm sorry to say it like that I said that.
No, you're fine. She was contacted by Thomas first, but she didn't know it was Thomas. It was somebody else, all right, using a handle, because Thomas uses the sock accounts. And then this person introduces him to Frank Bacon, her to Frank Bacon. Frank Bacon, right, Tyrone Simmons, then...
Kind of like a Stephanie Carroll to me.
Yeah, then introduces the All-Seeing You to Thomas Schoenberger. Well, they go on, and there was love bombing, and I like your stuff. Oh man, you're the greatest video artist. We can do this, and they had her attacking people on the internet, making videos attacking people, and they had her attack Pavana, and go after Pavana, and that's when she called it quits. But she said Thomas kept coming around and asking her to get involved with Isaac Cappy. He wanted her to start making videos about getting involved in the Isaac Cappy stuff, just pumping out videos about that.
Was that after or before he did wanted me to do that and had me?
I believe it was before.
Got me to.
I believe it was before that.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
he was just right after Isaac died. He kept trying to find people online to do that too?
Yes. She said no, I don't want any part of it, and she walked away. And then she said when she said no,
Well,
they completely turned on her. Both of them did, and she almost committed suicide. They had
yeah, they're scary how they threaten people. At first they gain your trust, and then, you feel open enough to tell them anything basically about your life, and then when you're not doing something that they like, they threaten you and they really scare you and say, like they just reveal that they haven't been your friends all along, and it's really scary. It's really cruel to do that to people, and people don't think that people would do that to people, but these people plan and in advance to do that, to do those things to people, and it's what they did to Tracy Twyman, Isaac Cappy, and Ian Murdoch, Sergeant Mike Stephen. No, not Sergeant Mike Stephen, but sorry,
Fullerton?
Samuel Fullerton.
Tell me about Samuel Fullerton.
Well, I don't remember too much, but I looked into it back at that time when I uh, realized that I had been trusting the wrong people all along, and he was basically a person that really trusted Thomas. You know, didn't he put out some cicada work?
I don't know.
Well, I seen a friend's comment on a YouTube video of Sam's, and his friend said that he was stalked into a corner by somebody, and I refer that to as Thomas. Thomas had me putting out text about Sam and Sergeant Mike Stephen in the videos that were not my own text, and he wanted people to believe it was me saying those things, and he was on the phone all the time with Sam, and I believe that he did exactly what he did to me to Sam, and he really gained his trust, and maybe enough for Sam to tell Thomas that he had a gun, and then Thomas could have easily just called the police and said, he's got a gun, like he's going to shoot somebody, a police officer needs to be there, and you know that's what Thomas does. He sets people up, and they do all these welfare checks, these fake welfare checks that are really dangerous
Well,
to do to people.
Thomas got Denise Matow to call in a welfare check on Jesse and Pavana. Pavana is one of Thomas's
Yeah, they
victims.
lie. They'll call the police and they'll lie about some situation and get the police there, and then they'll speak about it online after. Or something else goes wrong.
While we're talking about this aspect of the situation here, Pavana had a breakdown. For those who don't know the story here, Thomas got into Pavana's head through the what was the game before Cicada? The Liber. It wasn't the Liber. It was one of those games. I forget what it is.
I don't know.
She was involved in trying to crack that game, and Thomas, she reached out to him and he said, "We've been waiting for you." And then he just started working on her. Just you need to come to California.
He just falsely befriended her. Yeah.
You're the reincarnated Mary Magdalene. You need to come to California to the round table. We have the spiritual people here. Introduced her to
what the fuck?
Oh yeah, introduced her to who was it? Lisa Clapierre, who was a life coach. Blah 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 blah. And she had this nervous breakdown, this complete nervous breakdown,
Absolutely.
to where her husband Jesse took her into the hospital. And there's two stories here. Jesse says that Thomas called in and pretended or told the nurse that he was Dr. Schoenberger and prescribed Xanax for her. And
I remember that. That's scary.
Yeah, well, yeah. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and Thomas says, no, they called me and I never said I was a doctor. I just said maybe give her some Xanax. But for a fact, Thomas was on the phone speaking to Pavana's nurses. And in the paperwork, Jesse has the hard copy paperwork. It says, we spoke to Dr. Schoenberger on the phone. Schoenberger says that Jesse told them he was a doctor. Jesse said, oh, no. He told them he was a doctor. So we have some he said, she said going on here. But what did Thomas do to you?
He just does that.
And let's think real quick. Start from the beginning.
Okay.
And explain what happened, and then about the phone calls that took place between Schoenberger and other people whom I don't know how much you want to get into it, but I think that's very important to know that Thomas doesn't really have any barriers. He'll go all the way. He will break the law.
Yeah. He will threaten people, and people don't expect people to threaten people in really scary ways. They don't think it's going to happen. They don't think it happens to people. And then when it happens to people like me, Pavana, and other people, we're ignored because it just seems too bizarre, I guess. I can now hear myself echoing.
All right, so I had a call come in. I had to cancel it there. So
Okay.
So what happened? What happened where Thomas basically did the same thing to you? I think that's very important. I think it's very important people know that. And you and I have spoken to it. I think you've told Jesse about it and some other people. But for the record, to put this up, what did Thomas do? And what did those people tell you about the conversation they had with him?
That he's just a great person. And, he's innocent. Maybe he's a prophet. He's a really good musician. And we should stand up for him. They want to kill him. And we're prophets. Oh my gosh. And let's put this out. And we're helping each other. We're, helping each other financially too. We got each other's back. We're in against the New World Order. And they killed Isaac, and we're standing up for him.
Okay. Well, what I'm speaking about is when you were sued by a certain person from North Palm Beach, Florida, and you were going through a bunch of stuff with that, and you were sued because Thomas was having you put the information out about that gentleman, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even anti-Semitic comments.
Yes.
They weren't even my own. And Thomas was feeding me a whole bunch of misinformation about the New World Order and who was involved at the top, and this is what was going on, and this is who killed Isaac, and this is who was involved in all this child sex trafficking and occult ritual stuff. And I fell for it all for a while.
Okay.
Too long.
Are you willing to talk about your health status in terms of what's going on that aspect of it in relation to maybe why you fell for some of that?
In the beginning, I really was feeling low, and I wanted at that time to die. And I was writing a suicide letter at my table, and I came across Isaac's last video, and I said to myself, I'm going to solve this. If I'm just going to kill myself, I'm going to solve this and put myself in danger too, just to do it. And I was in a really weak state then, and that's why they took advantage of me. They knew that I had mental health issues, and I was foolish enough to send them documents of my own mental health care because I trusted them so much, and I believed in my own mind like maybe I would be fed some more information that I wanted to know if they trusted me more.
Who did you specifically send your mental health documents to?
Stephanie Carroll and a person named Mataki, but that is not her real name. Her real name is either Julie or Julia, but I forget her last name. And she's a hairdresser for celebrities, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mataki. So they had.
She's the one. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't say that.
Well,
sorry, I can't.
I will say that Mataki and Michael Dade were very closely connected. They were the ones that, I guess, saved up the money or whatever and ordered the records to put out a couple months after I did. After a death in Arizona, the report is withheld for 60 days. So it's 2 months before the report comes out. I was there on the 61st day, and I picked up the reports. I read through them online. I PDF'd them, put them into the Eyes of Cappy mind map, and they were out there. Everyone had them. At the same time, Michael Dade and Mataki were making videos coming at us. For some reason, they attempted to create problems where there were none. They were pumping out disinformation about Isaac Cappy. Anyway, so we have a connection between Mataki here and you.
It was the same thing that I was doing. We were all doing that at the same time.
So we have Michael Dade and Mataki and Steffi and Mataki and Thomas Schoenberger. So Thomas Schoenberger again connects Michael Dade to you.
Yeah.
Through one person, being Mataki.
Yeah.
Mataki was very.
He had me putting up videos about Michael, and I was the one on Michael's live streams, and that's how Stephanie found me and reported reported me to Thomas, and that's how Thomas found out about me.
Okay, so a lawsuit ensues. The person who you're putting videos out about, who's Thomas is having you do that, sues you, or threatens to sue you. I got to be careful because this guy's really litigious, and he threatens to sue everybody. He
pretends to be enemies of people.
Yeah. So you were going through a lot of stuff at that time, and you were dealing with your social workers, and you had some housing problems. Can you tell us about?
Oh, totally.
Can you tell us about when a welfare check was called on you?
Yeah, I can tell you about one time, and obviously but I'll repeat it. The police were called on me, and by somebody in Florida, and the firefighters came into my apartment, and they said they were really concerned, and they said they got a call, and they heard that I was on a bridge ready to jump off of it. And I asked them who said that to them, and they told me somebody in Florida, and I can't say his name.
You can't say his name.
I said no.
Sorry. You can't say his name because he threatened to sue you. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I said no, but that's exactly what happened to Isaac Cappy, and I started speaking about that situation right away to them, and I was brought to the hospital anyway, but that was a really weird.
You said something else strange happened that day when they came into your house with the photographs.
Different time. The stock photo.
Was that a different time?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
The first time it was Faith Goldie that called the police on me, and she had been on InfoWars during those years at the same time.
Faith Goldie called
the police on me, yes.
How did Faith Goldie know of you?
I kept tagging her in the emails between Thomas and my former CMHA, Canadian Mental Health Association workers.
And Faith Goldie, Canadian far-right, white nationalist political commentator associated with the alt-right and white supremacy. Okay, this is Wikipedia. To about half of that. So yeah. So she's a conservative in Canada. Is basically what she is.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And she was concerned, but.
Okay, so that was the time. Okay, so
it was really being paid attention to.
All right, so you had
during that time. It was really important.
Okay, so you had 2 welfare checks called in on you.
Yeah.
All right. So
probably more, but I'm not remembering them all. But I had another one. And the police came in here. There was probably about 6 of them, and 2 police officers stayed with me in my living room area, and the 4 the other ones went on my balcony with a special cameraman, and they started taking photos off of my balcony And I kept trying to ask the two officers, well, one of the officers in my apartment, why they were doing that, but he wouldn't let me ask the question. But he could tell by my body language that I wanted to ask that question a lot. And it wasn't until I left my apartment with the police officers that I got to ask an officer the question as to why they were on my balcony with a special photographer um, taking photos off of it. And I'm on the 10th floor. So it was really weird. And the officer said to me, "That's a good question. Stock photos for the city." And that's all he said about that.
So during a welfare check, someone calls a welfare check on you, and officers come. Two of them keep you in the room, and one of them goes out there. A couple of them go out there with a special cameraman and start photographing. Were they taking pictures
Yeah.
of the street, other buildings, of?
No, not the street. They were taking photos of the buildings, the high-rise buildings in front of my apartment building.
Okay,
And they had this photographer come in. He had a vest on, and it was different than the police's vest. And yeah, they were just allowed to do that, and I wasn't able to ask questions as the two officers held me in my living room,
okay,
not able to ask the question because they kept stopping me from asking it, being
gotcha.
able to.
All right. What happened during the time there's a welfare check where they took you into, I guess, custody, and took you?
Uh,
Where do they take you, and then what happened after that?
I told the police officer on the way that, I was being paid by Thomas Schoenberger and Alex Jones's cameraman to put out misinformation regarding Isaac Cappy's death. And he said, "Oh, that was weird. That's weird." He agreed with that. That was it. And I just waited there with my former worker, mental health worker, Julie, at that time. And eventually I got to leave because I wasn't suicidal, and they were only concerned because um, I had posted stuff. I think I had posted stuff at sometimes that were, yeah, I posted something that was really alarming, and I'm really sorry about it, and I don't want to get too much into detail about it,
Okay. All right.
but I was really going through a rough time, and they really brought that up purposely within me, all of this situation, and it hasn't been fair to a whole lot of people, Isaac and a whole lot of other people that should be just as known as Isaac.
Okay.
Everybody involved who was victimized by these people. And I want to say that Thomas and a lot of the people that are involved in this whole situation are not enemies, but they are pretending to be, and they are still distorting stuff. And that's why nothing's really being taken seriously because it all looks like a crazy, silly mess.
Did any of your social workers ever speak to Thomas Schoenberger?
Yeah, Julie, she said like she picked up the phone. She didn't tell me anything more about what they spoke about, unfortunately, but she told me that Thomas and another person from Florida were calling them up and threatening them and giving them orders. And she told me that she punched a hole in her own wall because of this. And this is my Canadian Mental Health Association worker. She told me that the police are involved and that I can't know anything more besides all that, and that she wasn't even allowed to tell me that. And um, the next time that I seen my other two workers, my housing workers from the Canadian Mental Health Association, they came into my apartment. I told them about um, Julie saying that to me, and that was that. And they came back another time, and they sat down in my apartment, and they said to me, "We just want to let you know that we support you in committing suicide because you speak about it too much and because we understand the seriousness of your situation. We also want you to know that it's nothing personal. People need to make money. our boss Pio wanted us to tell you that.
Say that last part again.
And that's when
Our what wanted us to tell you that?
our boss Pio wanted us to tell you that. And that's what really set me off and made me realize that I trusted really bad people. And that's when I started talking to Kelly over the phone about how stupid I had been. And I sounded exactly like Isaac Cappy in his second last video that's still online. I was so stupid to trust the same people that convinced me of the most stupidest stuff.
So you're, after speaking to Thomas Schoenberger in a conversation which Julie, your mental health worker, cannot relay to the details of, she came in with another worker into your house and told you they support you in committing suicide.
Yeah, I first told them that Julie told me that, and then they came back another time, and that's when they stated that to me.
Let me ask you something for the record. Would you testify to that in court?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Um,
I've been stating it every day to people, and I've been kind of going a little nuts because people aren't taking it seriously for some reason. And it really did happen, and maybe it sounds outrageous, but that did happen. And Julie, if she was brought into court, she would admit what she said to me. I guarantee she wouldn't lie about it because she actually did say that. And I foolishly told Lucia and Chandra about that. And then they came back and said that. And that's when I really started to understand that I trusted bad people. And Julie told me when she was here that I shouldn't make videos for them. And I'm saying them, not just Thomas. And I didn't trust her. I thought, I said to her, no, Thomas and him are enemies, and I'm doing good by doing this. And she said, no, I wasn't, and that I shouldn't trust them. I shouldn't put out videos, and I didn't believe her. And after that appointment, I told Lucy and Chandra that. She told me all that, and that's when they came back the second time and said what they said to me about suicide.
wow. So you have Thomas Schoenberger calling up Pavana's healthcare worker and saying that he's Dr. Schoenberger, according to Jesse, and prescribing her Xanax. And we have Thomas Schoenberger. We have your social worker telling you that Thomas Schoenberger called her. And
mental health worker, yeah.
Yeah, your mental health worker called her, and the details of which she cannot explain. Did she say if Thomas spoke to anyone else other than her within the department?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, sorry. She spoke. She said that her and Lucia and Chandra and Pia were getting threats and orders from two people, and that I shouldn't trust them and I shouldn't make videos for them. And I said, nope, they're enemies, and Thomas and I are on a good mission, and they're trying to distort what we're doing, and they're trying to divide us. And I didn't believe her. And then I told the two workers what she said, and then they came back another time and said that about suicide to me. And I on the phone with Thomas, I used to always say it's like it's nothing personal to them, and that people need to make money, and that's what he got them to say to me. Everything that I was pissed off about the most, because I was really frustrated with the workers. I didn't really like how the Canadian Mental Health Association or mental health associations anywhere in Ontario were operating, and I was really frustrated. And he does what he does regarding what he knows about a person. He exploits it.
Have you appealed? Have you contacted the agency? Have you requested documents? Have you asked for an advocate or mediator to go in and help you with the paperwork necessary to find out what happened during all this?
No, I've been too frustrated, and that's too much. I've been just like I don't have much money, and I don't really know how to do all that, and so I've just been trying to get all the emails out. I've been trying to get attention to what I'm doing so that people will pay attention to the emails. And I don't know how to really do this about court because I don't have much money at all. And these people are millionaires and they gaslight. They're lying about being enemies of certain people. And so that's too hard to go against.
Yeah. Let me ask you: do you think that that Thomas picked you because of your mental health situation and your financial situation in general, your inability to fight back legally, and your vulnerability in terms of what he could convince you of, and then if and when he did
Yeah,
eventually burn you down or something happened, he had to burn you, no one would believe you anyways because of your situation?
absolutely. And it's what him and another person do. They find people online that they deem as mentally unstable and financially unstable enough to manipulate and wrap up in their online con games.
Yeah. I mean, I tracked down this Steffi character you spoke about, and she's a hot mess, um, just an absolute hot mess, and not doesn't have a not what you would say middle class, upper middle class, even middle class, just sort of down there at the bottom, causing chaos, involved with all kinds of scandals and Thomas Schoenberger. Again, not the most stable of people. Um, I had a conversation a while back with someone, and they said, "My God, Corey, everybody involved in this is like has mental problems. Like everyone, either they're crazy,
Absolutely.
they're
That's on purpose.
psychotic, they're sociopathic, they're suicidal." And I said, "Yeah, and there's a reason for that. That's who they pull in. This doesn't
Yeah.
make them like that. This just makes them worse." And if you heard,
Yeah.
I really want you to listen to the All Seeing News video from 2 days ago, because she said these people, they're not, she said, "I'm going to tell you that they're satanic. They're not satanic, but you'll understand it, satanic. They think that they're above everybody, and they get off on getting people to hurt themselves, and if they can, kill themselves." That's what she said. Her words, not mine. And she said there's two of them, and they have the same initials. And, well, it would be Thomas Schoenberger and Tyrone Simmons.
Oh, wow.
And she called them the sorcerer and the saint, being Saint Germain, and Frank Bacon / Tyrone Simmons considers himself to be the sorcerer. And she said they don't just go on there and, destroy people willy-nilly. They have plans. Like, it is structured. She spent months learning how to do it. It's like a course in it. And that right there tells me that this is something more than just some mean people on the internet causing havoc, especially when it's tied into Hollywood, especially when it's tied into pedophilia, especially when it's tied into
What they're doing is, yeah.
Go ahead.
What they're doing is wrapping in people that are not part of that Hollywood and all those big scenes, so they can make it seem like a little thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's involving Isaac Kappy and Jeffrey Epstein and the celebrities that he was really close friends with, which ties into a whole bunch of things that are happening to us currently.
Could you imagine trying to explain all this to a judge?
Yeah, you can't. Hi, we're being depopulated, and these people, they kill people. And Isaac was exposing them and calling them out and talking about how they even wanted to depopulate half of us and like colonize in space and stuff. And now they're doing it, but yeah. No, you can't. But I'm not even joking. This is literal terrorism, and people are being murdered, committing suicide, and wanting to commit suicide still, possibly. And this is all being taken as a joke, and it's all being belittled because they wrap people in that are not part of any big Hollywood scene. Like, if you're a part of the big scene and you're a Hollywood, let's say you made some scene and you want to ditch it, but you created it as a big artist, and you have to do so in a illegal way, let's just like move it on to some random people and give them the blame.
Wow. All right.
I hope that made sense. What I just
Yeah.
want,
No,
they're
it's
wrapping
fine.
people in, and they're pretending to be enemies, and
And we know
that's
that
how they really terrorize people.
happens because that's exactly what Defango and what's his name? Defango and Unirock were doing. They would be on there playing games one day together, and then the next day they were fighting like they were going to sue each other and go fist to cuffs, and then that would go on for 2 weeks, and they'd be on a game playing video games together again, and it was all LARPing. It was just live
Right.
action role playing, and then you got the All
And they
See
want
You.
people reacting and freaking out and all this looking just silly. And so it's really tough sometimes to be able to mentally um, not be affected by it, because it's really complex what they do. And
Do you believe that
y-
people do this for fun? I mean, do you think they?
not for fun. I think they do it just for an agenda and for money, and they're criminals in general, and they can wrap people in, and they do it.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger reason as to why it's happening as well. Social media is the new Wild West of the intelligence agencies, and you have the truther community that has detached from mainstream media, even liberals, the Bernie Bros. Most people, with the exception of hardcore Democrats, get their news online and more frequently from BitChute, YouTube, and people are getting involved because we have the tools to dig in and find out about the stuff. So it would make sense that the counterintel, COINTELPRO, would be working within the battlefield, within the theater of social media, and they would deploy people out there to do exactly this. What better tactic than to get? I mean, who's that guy? Jason Goodman, wrapped up in lawsuits with Robert David Steele, wrapped up in lawsuits with I can't remember all their names. He's suing. He even tried to. I think he was going to sue Steve Outram at one point. And all this lawfare going back and forth, trying to rope people in. I think the point of a lot of this is just to take people down with the legal system on social media through defamation suits. A name you hear over and over and over again surrounding the people, surrounding the events which lead to and in the aftermath of Isaac Cappy's death is a guy, an attorney by the name of Stephen Biss. Stephen Biss is a defamation attorney for DC. He handles some big people, some big cases, and his wife is on the Defango show. And you wonder, why Tanya Biss is out there with her husband as a high-paid Washington, D.C. defamation attorney, why she's out there involved in these LARPs with known LARPers who script LARPs over a 2-year period.
That shouldn't be happening. It should be stopped in a week.
And you gotta say to yourself this time, these aren't just a bunch of grown kids acting like asses. This is some kind of an operation. This is funded somewhere, and we know it's funded because I believe the sheriff of YouTube was paying that blonde girl in California who came out against me. She let it slip one time that she was being paid by the sheriff of YouTube to make videos against me.
No, shit.
She's the one who says that her cheekbones got stolen. She had facial surgery.
Oh, Girl Town.
Girl
Right?
Town. Girl Town, thank you.
Yeah.
Girl Town made just all. I interviewed her because she had some Isaac Cappy stuff, and I set her straight because she was wrong about some info, some objective info that was like, just she was wrong about it. And that wasn't my opinion. It was just like, here's the report. You misstated this. And then I had her on one time for an interview early on. And after that, I think Sheriff of YouTube got a hold of her and started paying her. And she said she was paid. The All-Seeing You, Carrie Wolf, states that she was paid the highest paid troll on YouTube. And she, again, was working with Thomas Schoenberger, Lepo, Frank Bacon, and Manny Chavez, Defango, to make these LARPs. And it was like seasonally. There was like season 2. It was not just 1 year. It went on for, over a year.
It shouldn't go on for like over a week. These people should not be allowed to do crime in the form of, they do it really cleverly. They do it in the form of it's just a genuine conversation and things happening. So, but these they need to be looked into, and these things need to be stopped from happening in like a week and not continue to drag on for years.
Oh, I agree.
2 weeks, yeah.
I agree. Have you received any more threats or problem from any of these people?
No, not at all. But no, nothing.
Are you afraid Thomas may put his sights on you again, like the Eye of Sauron swirling around?
I am worried because he is connected to a lot of criminals that like to even pretend to be enemies with him, and that's how they get away with doing what they do. They're very clever, and they fool a lot of people, and people fall for their lies, and they fall for their con games, which is what exactly Isaac Cappy fell for.
I think so. I think Isaac fell for, in that last video he stated, I have been made to believe that I am the reincarnation of Judas Iscariot.
Yep.
And
Thomas spoke with me over the phone saying I was the biblical reincarnation of Zachariah.
He told Lily White that Julian, that she was the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. She told Pavana that she was the reincarnation of who was it? Another. She said last night in the live stream. He tells and that's his deal. He comes in on the spiritual side and tells everyone that they are somebody who is reincarnated and they have a mission to fulfill. And he's,
yeah, it must have been Tom. Like, there was obviously people there at Isaac's second last video, and if Isaac's saying that, maybe Thomas was there because Thomas is the one telling everybody and convincing everybody that they're biblical figures.
And this, for those who don't know, Thomas is in the I Am cult. I Am. You can look it up. It's the I Am cult. And
it's very serious, and it shouldn't be joked about.
Well, the I Am cult, if you look, people are familiar with when General Flynn stood up not too long ago, and he did that kind of speech. He did that prayer at that Christian conference. It was the prayer of the 7 rays, right? And he copied verbatim. He copied verbatim the prayer that was prayed by the leader of the I Am cult back like in the late 60s, early 70s. General Flynn copied the prayer of the 7 rays.
So we have a bunch of awful people in this world that want to direct it in awful ways.
Well, I'd also like to draw attention that Thomas's ex-wife, let me see if I can bring it up for you here, Ferraric, I can't pronounce her name. She's Iranian. I think it's Ferraric. Let me get down here. Here it is. Farnak. Faranak. Middle initial S. Last name Sharoozi. Ex-wife. Her, I guess, in-law, I want to say is like the Prince of Turkey. Somewhere over there, Turkey or Iran, somewhere in that neighborhood. Lebanon, maybe? I can't recall without looking through all the documents. This gentleman is the godson of Thomas Schoenberger's son.
Oh, wow.
And that guy had a company with General Flynn about a decade ago, like an import company of some kind. I believe it was. If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
Right, so it's a lot of very awful people directing this
Well,
world awfully.
again, Thomas Schoenberger is connected in the I am cult. General Flynn is saying I am cult prayers, and the godfather of Thomas's son is in a business
Mm-hmm.
arrangement with General Flynn, who ties into Q, the whole Q psyop. And of course, Thomas and
Right.
Q, you don't have to look any further than just type in Thomas Schoenberger Q, and you're going to get people. Thomas tried to write himself into that psyop at some level, or was involved at
Right.
some level, or pushed it at some level. That's obvious at this point. Um, Thomas was quiet for a long time until Vice came out and started accusing him of being involved with Q. And, oh, Thomas shot up in a heartbeat. He also came up
Yeah, it
when I stated that he knew Jack Posobiec. And oh my God, he came out of the woodwork for that one and started shooting off Twitter after Twitter after Twitter and videos that he had never met Jack Posobiec, doesn't know Jack Posobiec. Um, I think he
and
does
Isaac
protested too
also
much.
believed in the QAnon stuff still when he made that second last video.
Oh yeah, Isaac was a full-on Q-tard. Absolutely, he was.
Unfortunately, he
Unfortunately,
still believed in it, and they were the LARPers of that, and they were dragging him into their online con games, and they did so greatly because, and a great, the great way they did that, it's not great at all, but they pretend to be enemies, and it all ties in with Seth Green's associates here, and a lot of them hid their friendship with Isaac, and some of them made their friendship with Isaac public. Not everyone did, and I'm convinced that's because Isaac felt that was for his own safety, and they convinced him of so as well. He was really convinced that there was high up people in government with this QAnon stuff telling him what to do, and there is, but they are all really bad people.
yeah. Do you think Isaac Cappy was murdered? In your opinion?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I do. I absolutely do. Um,
Yeah, it's too obvious of a situation. A guy comes out about child sex trafficking regarding Hollywood actors. People, immediately think like, if this guy is telling the truth, they're gonna kill him. And that's what happened. And now you have proof that business associates of who he came out about, Seth Green, were paying for the cover up to all be arranged.
okay. All right. Question: when you say you were paid, I had a note from earlier in the conversation here. Who all paid you? Who all gave you money while during the time when you were putting out content for
Um,
Schoenberger?
there's some random YouTubers that Thomas connected me with. I don't remember their names, but I remember Michael A. Levine a lot and Jonathan Wolf a lot, um, and Thomas himself.
Okay, when you say Thomas, when Levine paid you money, how much money, for the record, was it? Do you recall?
Very little. It was a very little amount of money. Like $10, $20, more so just $10 here and there. And it ties into what Isaac was saying in his second last video when he said that he sold out for a very low portion of money and he didn't see it, you know, everything that he fell into, even the online con games and trap that they had him fall into believing that he did something really wrong. They already had him convinced that he was the biblical reincarnation of Judas, and he was still believing the QAnon stuff that we know now after he died is really compromised, full of a bunch of compromised people, something that Isaac Cappy right now would never stand for. He would denounce it. And he was on InfoWars, and you have I mean, he was such a big supporter of QAnon, and you have these LARPers and people associated with the higher ups of QAnon in on the cover up of his murder. And I really want people to know that Trump and Clinton weren't enemies, and they deceived a lot of people, just like Thomas and a certain other person did to Isaac. And yeah,
All right. All right.
they're behind his death now. The people that he was for, QAnon and Trump, they're the very people behind killing Isaac Kappy. So
Well,
Isaac Kappy was, yeah,
I've stated on the record, it occurred to me that Isaac Cappy was engaged in an underground social media phenomenon called Unseal Epstein, and he was sourcing information, moving it through his White House contact to the Trump administration. I know that. I've spoken to his White House contact. I know he existed, and I know what he's told me. I know he exists still. And you have Isaac bringing in information on Epstein here, and or Hollywood pedophilia, and or DC pedophilia. There is more rumblings about information he may have gotten from some other people at this point. We're looking into it, and he could have been. They could have gotten wind that he had that. There's a lot of couldas here, but it's obvious that Isaac was running for his life when he left Apple Valley on Sunday, the day before he died. He took off. He was going to his mom's house with, with his recording device, some artwork, and he was in a state of complete paranoia. He was in bad shape that day, and imagine he told Alicia, "They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna rip me limb from limb, and suicide would be better than what they're gonna do to me." That's what he said to her privately the day after he made that video that you referenced there on Friday, the one that like hour-long, people call it a confession, and it's not really. It is in some ways a confession, but there's a lot in there if you know what he's talking about and you know the backstory. That being said, Isaac have a lot to his chest, but imagine Isaac's moving information on Epstein, and just like you said, Clinton's and Trump, they weren't enemies. And I'm of the opinion that Epstein and Trump were a whole lot better friends than people think. You don't have to look too hard to know that Ghislaine stayed in the Trump Tower regularly. You don't need to look so hard that Ivanka and Ghislaine would go out on car trips together regularly. You don't need to look so hard to find there's a book called All the President's Women, written by a mobster who's now dead, died of a heart attack a couple years ago, who used to run an adult bookstore in New York when Mr. Real Estate would come in and bang porn stars in the back, and one time asked for a 13-year-old girl. There's 26 women online that have accused Trump. Many of them don't know each other in the same way of masturbating him with gloves on because he's a germaphobe. There's videos of Trump and Epstein at a party laughing it up, talking. There's videos. It just goes on. And for some reason, people on the right completely ignore.
They don't see it. Yeah.
Well, they don't want to, because the alternative is Biden. The alternative is.
What about the alternative being your own mind?
Yeah. So imagine Isaac Cappy bringing all this information to his White House contact. And this is a theory here, okay? I'm just going to say, I'm not saying this happened, but this is what's making sense in my head at this point. And the White House goes, or someone says, "Hey, we got shit on Epstein here." And Trump, the Clintons, the Bushes, everybody knows that Epstein has been brownstoning and blackmailing people for over a decade, probably 20 years, 15 years in D.C.
Right, and even Courtney Love is involved in that.
And they all, that's right. And if the Clintons go down, Trump goes down, Bush goes down, Justice Roberts goes down, Pick your senators, pick your Congress people, pick your heads and CEOs of companies. They all burn. And the phone call is made, and Isaac's taken out. That's where my mind is these days. That's where my mind is going, because I don't think Trump is lily white in this. I think, again, and to appease people who are going to think that I'm a Trump hater or a Democrat, I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm somewhat of a libertarian, but I'm a conservative in values and political thought here. And I voted for Trump twice. And this all started becoming clear in this last year here when I looked back on the aftermath of what he did and how he pushed the vax and the things that he had done. And I would just like to say that maybe Trump's story is a Saul to Paul story. Maybe he was down in the depths.
Tied in with Schoenberger-like people.
Well, maybe he was down there in the depths of the darkness for years. Trump was. And one day had this come to Jesus moment and realized, I need to stop it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. I hope it is, and he's not covering it up. But, what happens if Trump allows information?
It's disturbing to think otherwise.
Sure. But can you imagine what would happen if Trump allowed information on Epstein? And don't forget, Epstein died under Trump's watch in New York 2 months after he... Well, let's go to the timeline here. Isaac Cappy dies May 13th, 2019. Robert the Deplorable is hanged in his garage in a failed attempt to kill him 2 weeks later. Tracy Twyman dies 5 months after that. Epstein gets arrested. Epstein dies. Epstein's attorney dies. And Jean-Luc, whatever his name is, dies in a Spanish prison. Oh, and I forgot about McAfee. McAfee says he has the data and the details. He hacked into the phones of the two guards, and he knows exactly how Epstein died. He gets arrested, goes to Spain, and dies in a Spanish jail. You have this ongoing, never-ending death surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. And while we weren't looking 2 weeks ago, Ghislaine Maxwell's sentence gets reduced by 10 years. And the client list, the FBI who went into Epstein Island, who went into Epstein's house, who got all the video records from the room to the right of the door, they have it all. Everything is locked away. I think Isaac Cappy was mixed up in some information surrounding this that got him killed. Now, that's my working opinion at this point about what happened. I spoke to someone last week, and they told me that, or Corey, maybe he was made to believe something that wasn't true, and he was involved in like a LARP. And I said, yeah, maybe. No. That seems a little simple to me. That seems
maybe
wishful.
Both.
Maybe both. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's that serious, but they wrap people in that, are of no credibility and nobody knows them, and they downplay everything.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to add to your testimony here as to what happened regarding Thomas Schoenberger and the Isaac Cappy stuff? Is there anything else that you feel is important?
Yeah, that I've been ignored consistently about my complaint and concerns regarding my former mental health workers telling me that they support me in committing suicide, and I've been ignored over 12 times by my replacement housing worker that I got after I told Lucia and Chandra, my two former Canadian mental health workers, what Julie told me. And she was pulled away after. And they're the ones that said that to me. Lucia is the one that said it to me. And I've been ignored by my doctor as well, and by the police as well. And nothing really is being done. And I can't really win a court battle or really do anything in that regard. So I've been really nervous and worried for my own safety because I have a lot of emails that prove a cover-up, foul play, and multiple murders, not just Isaac's, but Tracy Twyman's and Sergeant Mike Stephen and Samuel Fullerton and Ian Murdoch's. And so I put my website together and Instagram account together um, because I'm not a known person and I needed to get what I have a lot of attention and I needed to do that fast. And I really realized so because I've digged into this a lot like you have, and there's a lot of really serious stuff happening here. And it needs to be presented, though. All the serious stuff and what really happened needs to really be presented in a professional way, and you're doing that. But I have a problem with some people on their live streams making it seem like a LARP central, like silly, you know?
I I think that's very well stated and very profound and mature. If we are trying to get to the bottom of this, the good guys, if you will, the good guys that are trying to stop these people from what they're doing or shine the light on what happened, at least in Isaac's case and Twyman's case, we can't be out there making a circus out of it. We can't be making videos about people, making a joke out of their mental illness, making a joke out of their confusion or their side of it, because it just polarizes and tribalizes the truther community. But when you look in hindsight, it makes all of it look like a circus. I may have been guilty of some of that in the past. I get really infuriated when some people come on and just start spewing lies, just factual, objective lies about myself, Isaac Cappy, and they just make a video, they say it, and they say it again, and they say it again, and they say it again. For an hour, they say the same two things over and over, using neuro-linguistic programming just to put it out there, just to throw mud in the water. That really, it infuriates me. And I tend to address that whenever it happens. The first person to do that to me, by the way, was Unirock. Unirock was the first person to come out and really come at me for the investigation, and just started tribalizing people and polarizing the truther community, making me out to be an X, Y, or Z or whatever in order to discredit the investigation. But I think I made a 3-hour rebuttal to his 1-hour video on me, and that's the last time I ever heard of him. I think it doesn't work when you confront it. But you're right. It needs to be confronted responsibly. It needs to be confronted with professionalism and not adding to the circus, because that's what they want. It's exactly what they want.
This is terrorism. Yeah, it's terrorism happening, and there's nothing funny about it. It should have been stopped the first week. All of this made sense, and it all makes sense now, and it needs to stop. And people need to, it needs to be exposed, but it needs to be properly exposed and not exposed by the people that are orchestrating what is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. One more thing. Have you received any money for this interview? Have I paid you any money at all, or has anyone paid you any money to come on here and say the things that you've said today?
No.
Would you testify to any or all of this in court if you were under oath and asked by a judge?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right, man. I think with that, not to elongate this anymore, we're at about an hour and 50 minutes here. I think that's good. If there's anything else you want to get out to the public, you're more than welcome to give me a call, and I will put you on live or pre-recorded, however you want to do that, and I will get your information out there. Would you like to get out the information you currently have? Do you like to tell anybody where they can find all of your work, but your data, your emails between you and Thomas, between the text messages, all that stuff? Do you want people to access that?
Yes, absolutely.
Where can they find that?
My website. That's on my website, darkfalls.jimdofree.com, and it's free, but I don't care. The evidence and stuff there needs to be paid attention to.
Can you say that website again?
darkfalls.jimdofree.com.
Oh, wait, hold on. A lot of people aren't from Canada. They don't know the French. So dark, D-A-R-K, falls, F-A-L-L-S,
Yeah.
at
Dot Jim
Jim, J-I-M,
do
D-O,
like D-O.
okay,
Yep. Free.
F-R-E-E, okay,
Yep. .com.
.com. Okay, so dark falls at Jim, J-I-M, D-O-F-R-E-E. Okay. I was thinking it was like do free,
Yep.
like a French. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I had to put something together really quick, and so I put that YouTube together, and it took a while for me to sort through all the emails, but I was able to do so and put it in a Dropbox and link that to the website and a lot more. And there's a lot that's very important there, but it's being ignored. And it's being ignored because the people that are behind what happened to Isaac Kappy and so many other people are continually controlling what happens regarding all of these situations that we're talking about.
All right, and I'm on your site right now, and I see Goosebumps VHS recordings, Goosebumps VHS tapes, 90s
Yeah.
Goosebumps merchandise. What's this Goosebumps thing I'm looking at here?
Oh yeah, I loved Goosebumps since I was a baby, and I remember since I was 11 wanting the VHS tapes, like the original broadcast, and I finally found them, and I put that together, and it's something I like doing on the side that's not conspiracy related and everything, and it's just giving credit to people that have these VHS recordings and um, doing that on the side and
Okay.
just chilling
I
and
see.
hopefully getting an audience too so that they can see all that is going on
Okay, and then we
regarding
have
everything else.
Zach and Sarah. You want to tell people what that's about?
Yeah. Um, that started in 2016 about that. I was really disturbed over a lot of Pizzagate conspiracies, and I seen a video of Sarah laughing about babies like being eaten over the Pizzagate conspiracies, the blood drinking, and laughing about it, and it really traumatized me, and it made everything around Trump, uh, like around that time, look really dark, and that's why I dived into conspiracies. I was really disturbed by a lot of it, and since 2007, I admired Sarah, and it where we're at now in reality, after my workers said what they said to me and everything I was put through with Thomas and everything that really disturbed me in the beginning about all these conspiracies, it just looks like a total mess, this entire world. And I'm really disturbed about it, but I knew I needed to put something together, and I just seen this would be kind of funny but interesting and it would get a lot of attention. And I've tried personally myself to overcome a lot of my traumas and everything that influenced me during that time around 2016 onward. But I'm still disturbed by a lot because a lot of people like to keep their careers. They like to stay in Hollywood and be disturbing and get dopamine rushes off of their bad behavior and be paid to do so. And they don't care about how they affect people. They want to be shocking on purpose. And it's really disturbing because we're in a time in human history where people, like, we need the most kindness to be expressed everywhere. Like, we are being depopulated. And I've, over the last year, come to accept that and accept that we're not going to be here much longer because we didn't do anything about it. And a lot of people laughed about it and they didn't take it seriously. So now everything's going to happen. And I'm really traumatized over it. And all this Isaac Cappy situation and a lot that I was told over the phone by Thomas, even regarding Sarah, needs to be addressed and not consistently ignored or addressed by the people that are orchestrating what they did to Isaac and other people.
Okay. All right. So on here, on Zach's page, just for anyone going there, you're going to find stuff on Goosebumps, Zach and Sarah Silverman, Lucid Dreaming, Aliens. There's a number, Batman and Robin 97, Writers
It's
Unite.
the greatest movie ever.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff on here. This is
But that's my old page. I chose to do my own personal thing, but include the Isaac Cappy and Tracy Twyman situation, all of that ties into at the same time.
Gotcha.
I really went through a lot, and I needed something on my own.
Gotcha. All right. I just wanted the people to know that, because when they, when they see,
I'm not trying to make this seem silly. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is my own thing. I've loved that show since I was a child. I wanted the VHS tapes. They're available, and I give credit to the people that upload them. I'm not the one uploading them. I have my own VHS tapes that I plan on uploading, but I give credit to the people that have uploaded them. And it's something that I like to do in the spare time that I always wanted to do since I was 11. I really remember wanting those VHS tapes, the original broadcasts of my favorite TV shows.
Gotcha.
Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
All right.
And now I have that, and so I focus on that rather than all the conspiracies and getting involved in all the online stuff again.
You got to take a break. You have to take a break. 'Cause
yeah.
That's what Thomas does. Being admitted by an ex-partner of his who used to do this to people, they will rope you in and get you in a state so insane that you attempt suicide, and that's why.
Yeah, you got to not do that. You got to hold your best states of consciousness and rise above it, and realize that they're just con artists trying to wrap people in, and
for agendas.
They're all guilty of what's going on.
Have you ever considered suicide because of what Thomas did to you?
Yeah, and there's times where I just kept, during that time after I found out and Kelly died, I kept recording to Sarah Silverman Instagram. I know she's probably not even hearing any of them, but consistently I've been doing that, and I haven't really spoken to anyone or seen anyone. Like, I traveled within 2 weeks ago, but before that I haven't left my apartment since 2019. And so, like, I've been telling her, like, there's sometimes I feel like I still want to die, and like, this situation needs to be addressed, and there's so much serious here. Like, your coworkers are involved in this. I don't see why you can't use your influence to really do something really great here. Like, I admired you since I was 14 and onward, personality wise, and it really disturbed me around the 2016 time, everything that came around then. And it proves that you were right about Trump being a Nazi, because I mean, we have Trump and the people behind QAnon responsible for Isaac Cappy's murder and the cover-up. And I hope you realize how right you were about Trump being a Nazi.
And
that
I don't.
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't. I'll put my mouth. I don't know necessarily if he's a Nazi, but I don't know if he himself even knows
war criminal,
Isaac got killed.
For sure.
There's something there. I'll go so far as to say that the people surrounding Trump, because when we think of Trump, we think of him in the White House at the table answering the phone with a pen in his hand making decisions. You don't realize that he's outsourced about 90% of everything to other people, and he's not getting all the information all the time. That's kind of how it works. And if the machine is threatened, and the DOJ, the spooks, for the lay people here, the dark hats embedded within the administration, within the bureaucracy, get wind that Isaac Cappy has details on Epstein, they need to cover it up. What Isaac referred to as legacy corruption. They just handle it. And Trump may have had no idea that Isaac had this stuff. that was coming, but people who handle Trump and handle the machine that is the U.S. political system, the two-party illusion, they protect it. So, it could very well be that Trump, once you're up there, you're just protected. The machine protects itself. So, and Trump's legacy, you are right, goes back to highborn German peoples. His mentor was it Lou something or other? Who was his mentor? The guy that was accused, I think was convicted for pedophilia. That was Trump's mentor, that attorney. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no.
Roy Cohen. Roy Cohen was Trump's mentor, and this guy.
There's a lot. There's the Epstein stuff.
Well, no, I spoke to somebody who reached out to me last year and said that Roy Cohen raped him regularly when he was a kid. And over in the UK, I believe it was in the UK. So, and someone else connected to it. Anyway, I know everyone wants to believe that Trump is the savior and Trump is the one who's going to set the country straight. And I just hope people look past that and understand that all the world's a stage. All the world is a stage. And, most people, if someone just randomly happened across this interview, they would think we're insane. You have to live through it to know that people like this exist and they will do these things and it is real. But most people wake up, they make their kids cereal, they watch some TV, they go to the work, they come home, they watch some TV, they go to a soccer game, they wash their car. Like, that's most people's lives. Like 90% of the country,
Right.
They don't understand all this is happening.
Right. They don't. Yeah. And when you go to complain about it, you look crazy.
Yeah. It's some kind of a movie. It's some kind of a spy novel. Some kind of a conspiracy theory.
LARP, and they are making it look silly on purpose. So when you complain about this stuff, and if they look it up online, it does look like a bunch of just silliness.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, is there anything else that you want to say in closing?
Yeah, that all of this is being ignored, and people that you think are enemies of Thomas are not. And that's how they get away with their terrorism. Once the person finds out that they have been played all along by a group of people, that's when their realities feel flipped upside down. And that's when they start to break down and realize that they had been played the entire time and they were being told lies and they were being exploited.
Okay. All right, man. And with that, we'll end it there. You and I will talk again soon.
All right. Take care.
Man. You too.
Dude.
Thanks, Zach.
Bye.
There we go, guys. I wanted to get that down. I wanted people to understand Zach's story in case anything happens. A lot of people don't know Zach's story. They know that Zach was sued into silence or threatened to be sued into silence by Gabe Hoffman. The same Gabe Hoffman that Isaac went back and forth with. This isn't defamation, Gabe, by the way. This is just recounting what happened. Okay, everyone knows you threatened to sue Zach. You talked about it on a live stream with me about a month and a week ago, something like that. Now maybe 2 months, hell, I don't know. Right? But Zach has a story. And Zach was taken in by Thomas, and he was twisted. And he was convinced to make over 75 videos, I think, anti-Semitic videos and defamation against Gabe, which he did. And it's Zach's opinion now that Gabe and Thomas are working together. So, and you know what? I have to admit that's sort of what it looks like. I don't know, though. I don't know. Anyway, you can see my opinions on a number of other things, but in regards to the Isaac Cappy story and Thomas Schoenberger's involvement in that, I wanted to get this down on record in case anything should happen. So, that being said, I'm signing this one off. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other out there, guys. Talk again.